And thank you again, Sister Minister, for coming back for part two. This means a lot.
Oh.
Okay, perfect. And we are live. I want to thank everyone for tuning in to a very special edition of Off the Record on the People's Podcast this evening. We have an incredible guest with us who came back for part two, and that is none other than student minister Aisha out of Phoenix, Arizona. She's going to give us some amazing information as well as inspiration. Assalamu alaikum, ma'am.
Well, sir, please give the greetings to your family.
Yes, ma'am. And you do the same. And okay, hold on. You do the same, please. The first time we spoke, you gave us some amazing information. My sister Miriam sends the greetings, and my uncle Minister Jamil sends the greetings as well.
Oh, please return the greetings to both of them.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, well, we have some specific questions we want to ask this time. What was it like? What is it like when you work for the Most Honorable Minister Farrakhan, coming in to have dinner with him, and you've had dinner with the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad as well? Can we start with the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad? When you walk in the door, what is it like eating with them, and what are like some of the procedures that have carried on from back then to now?
Oh, well, first I can say that it's like walking out of one world into another.
Mm.
For one thing, when you approach the door, everyone is, I would say, when you come in, you don't just walk up to the door and knock on the door, but a brother is standing at the door and allows entrance. And depending upon how many people are waiting to have dinner, then they will let you know when it's time for you to enter. And from the moment that you walk in, you are actually escorted to a room where you leave your shoes and you put on little footies. And for the sisters, you're asked if you would like to remove your headpiece.
Mm.
And I would just like to add that when I went to the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad's home, I was not told that before I visited, but I'm just glad that I had my hair done. So we did remove our headpieces. And they also show you to the restroom where, you can freshen up and also wash your hands.
Mm.
And after that, you're escorted to a sitting room if the meal is not ready to be served at that time. And that's where, you make pleasant conversation and try not to shake hands or anything because you just washed your hands. But this is all very civilized behavior. And from what I understand with the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the secretaries used to dress for dinner.
Mm.
And, in some of the upper class Caucasian homes, they do dress for dinner. And, you don't come to dinner with your shorts and, your tank top and that kind of attire. And it's just something that if we have not been taught proper etiquette, we don't know. But once you're escorted to the seating area, and I might add, you sit there and do not move until, you're asked. I remember the minister said that one time someone was invited to the home and they got up to start walking around. This just may be something that you don't know if you haven't been taught. And once it is announced that dinner is ready and you go into the dining room, then you are seated according to the host. And generally, from what I've seen, sisters usually sit on one side and the brothers sit on the other side. So, if you're married, you don't usually sit next to your husband.
Okay.
Most of the time, if I remember, you sit across from them. Once the meal is ready, and generally someone comes out and will announce the menu, we'll let you know what we'll be having for dinner. And the way that it is served individually, because sometimes there are, I would say, 25 to maybe 30 guests for dinner. So let's say when you receive the chicken, it's advisable that you don't take but one piece because You don't know how many people that they have prepared for, and they may have prepared exactly for a certain number.
Okay.
But one of the things that I noticed at the dinner table also is that you wait for the host before you start speaking. They generally set the tone, and you also wait for the host before you start eating. And so these are just some of the little things that we've learned in terms of etiquette, which is proper when you're in the home of the messenger of God. The other thing is that you're served usually from the left, and it's usually soup, salad, then the main course. And what happens is that the person who is serving or the servers, they will notice when you're just about through. And also, you can put your fork in a certain way on your plate to let them know that you're ready for the next course.
Mm.
Generally, I would say that the meal, that time for me was very enjoyable. I really enjoyed listening to the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad at the dinner table. And he was in a type of mood that it appeared as if he was trying to make us feel more relaxed, because he did go into a little humor, because I'm sure he knew that we were nervous, just
Yes,
the
ma'am.
first time having dinner with him. And with the Honorable Louis Farrakhan, generally he's teaching at the table. And when you get ready to leave, or when you finish with your meal, and let's say you have to leave before everyone else, then you ask to be dismissed. You don't just jump up from the table and leave. And usually you greet the minister, and you exchange words with him before you leave. And of course, thank him for having you as a guest.
Beautiful.
That's that's about all that I could think of.
Yes, ma'am. Praise be to Allah. And I have a question. And thank you all for continuing to watch and show love to the People's Podcast. I'm coming to your comments and questions briefly. When the same etiquette that you learn at the palace or at the National House, should we apply it in our own personal homes, or is that something we should only do when you're there?
No, we should apply it on a daily basis, because, and I know a lot of times families are busy and they don't all the time get a chance to eat at the same time. Someone may be going to school or going to work, but you should try at least once a week to have dinner at the dinner table, to train the children how to eat properly. And also, your children might be invited along with you to the
Mm,
minister's home for dinner. But this is just what we're trying to practice as civilized women and men of the planet.
beautiful. Praise be to Allah. And Sister Rachel Neil Muhammad says, greeting family. Minister Jamil says, Sister Aisha is such a beautiful example of the civilization of Islam and so refined. Now, Sister Minister, you work in the orientation department, teaching the sisters. What can we do? Of course, brothers, we have to work on our side, but on the sisters, what advice would you give to the sisters about being refined and civilized, coming, from the world? What is it that you teach them so they, become civilized?
Well, in the orientation process, we cover a lot of that in terms of what is the proper demeanor and dress for the Muslim woman.
Mm,
And then, of course, once they are registered and they get into the NTT and GCC class, then they get a lot more information. But we introduce them to proper dress, and also just proper behavior. The Honorable Louis Farrakhan, one thing that he does say in terms of the processing sisters, he urges them to take their time processing. And what I've found, though, is that sisters are coming in now with a lot more knowledge of Islam than during my time, because now you have all of the information on YouTube. A lot of them have already listened to the Honorable Louis Farrakhan. And so most of them are already ready to take on the characteristics of a Muslim woman.
mm. Praise be to Allah. Yes, ma'am. Now, when the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad came to dinner and you say, has a humor, he's making jokes, trying to lighten the mood. What was he wearing? And yeah, what was he wearing?
He was wearing a beautiful navy blue suit and, of course, a white shirt and a bow tie. Um, I remember he had these beautiful glasses that he was wearing. I don't think that he had on a fez. Yeah, he had on a suit.
Okay, wonderful. Yes, ma'am. And okay, well now we're coming back. We want to go from prior to 75 to present. Now, once the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad departed, what how did you go from wherever you were in your life, the West Coast, I'm assuming, to coming back to help the Most Honorable Sultan Farrakhan?
Oh, that's a long story. But, one of the things that happened, because for some of us, uh, I would say that we were maybe a little prepared for the departure because we had been told about it
Mm,
in the mosque. But for a lot of us, it was a complete shock because we had not been prepared. And the minister of the different mosques or the local mosque had not taught on it. And, we went to Chicago thinking that we were going to a regular Savior's Day.
mm,
I had no idea that Savior's Day 1974 was the very last Savior's Day that I would see the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. But I would say that the atmosphere for a lot of us was just complete shock.
mm,
Um, we were prepared in a way the day or so before Savior's Day. I remember we were called to a meeting in the gymnasium at Muhammad's University of Islam.
mm,
And that is where we were told about the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad's transition. We were not told that he departed. So, of course, being a believer and loving the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, this was very painful for a lot of us. And, I just remember for me, I just went through the motions of, completing Savior's Day, doing the checking, having people come in, do what we normally do. But it was almost as if we were watching someone else go through, this process. It was as if, our minds and our hearts were somewhere else.
mm. Yes, ma'am. And then once, okay, that's the first time I've ever heard that you all were told in the gymnasium about the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Now, once that happens, you still were able to do check posts and still function. That's amazing. That's
Oh
amazing.
yeah, I mean, we had to, it's like we had all of these people, these thousands of people that still were going to be coming in. And of course, this time they would be hearing from Imam Dean and those who uh, pledged their allegiance and support to him in a labor's meeting the night before the Savior's Day, from what I understand. I was not in that meeting, but I was told about that meeting.
Yes, ma'am. Well, I want to make sure that I thank you, Sister Minister, on behalf of myself, my family, and the viewing audience for your sacrifice and the sacrifices of your family as well, because we stand on the shoulders of the work that you all put in to help establish Islam here. So, 1975, after that Savior's Day, so many of the believers that I've interviewed talked about seeing people literally lose their mind and go back, and never to able to return. How were you able to return? Like how was your faith so strong that you came back?
Well, as I said, I was messed up for a while. But the only thing that I knew to do was to keep busy. So at that time, I decided I would go back to school. I had a young son to raise. And so I just kept myself occupied. I tried going back to the church. That didn't work for me. And so I mainly just tried to do the ordinary things, be a good mother, and keep myself occupied until I heard from the Honorable Louis Farrakhan. that he was rebuilding the nation.
Mm. Yes, ma'am. Okay, so now because you were prior to 75, you were on the West Coast. How did you know when you heard the Most High was Farrakhan, who was from New York or representing New York at the time at the mosque? How did you know that he was the voice that would be, able to rebuild the nation?
Oh, well, I had been listening to the Honorable Louis Farrakhan for years when the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad allowed him to speak on his behalf on the radio program. So I would always record Minister Farrakhan's lectures each week and listen to them. So I was very familiar with him, although, and I had seen him in person because he came to visit uh, Seattle. He spoke at the University of Washington. And he also spoke in Portland, which we caravan to Portland to hear him. So I was very familiar with the Honorable Louis Farrakhan.
Beautiful. Praise be to Allah. Yes, ma'am. Now, what was it like? No Wi-Fi, no cell phones, no GPS, and you all are going just traveling to hear. Like, what was that like? How are y'all getting around? I'm still mesmerized. 1970, you hear the Most High Missiles Farrakhan coming to town, and everybody just goes to a location. Like, how did that happen?
Oh, how we got the word out when we didn't have cell phones, and what we used the old fashioned telephones, and we called people. We also, visited organizations, but basically we used telephone and flyers to, get the word out that he was going to be there. And we were quite successful because, sometimes when you have cell phones, you'll send out a joint text and maybe you don't get an answer back or you don't follow up to find out if the person is actually going to be there. But once you call someone, then you will do a follow-up call and you keep calling until you get a commitment. So basically it was a little more work, but we were able to get results.
Praise be to Allah. Yes, ma'am. And once you the Most High Missiles Farrakhan stood back up and you came back to help. Did you see any of the other believers that were in the mosque prior to 75? Did anybody else come back with you, or was it everybody new?
No, I saw quite a few at Mosque 27 because by that time I was in Los Angeles. I had moved from Seattle. I saw quite a few of the older believers who had come back or who were in the process of coming back. Minister Khalid Muhammad, may Allah be pleased with him, he made an effort to get in touch with as many of the believers that he knew were in the nation prior to 75 to help him in the rebuilding effort. So once I heard, and it took a while before I heard about the minister, but he spoke at the Shrine Auditorium. And I'll never forget because the title was Let My People Go. And that was the first lecture that I had heard since I left the mosque. And I went to hear him speak. And I had not come back yet, but I made up my mind that I would come back and help in the rebuilding efforts. After I heard that lecture and I saw Mother Tynetta sitting on the dais, and by that time my dress had changed and everything. So self-accusing spirit was speaking loud and clear and saying, you need to get out of that little short skirt and get back into the mosque.
Praise be to Allah. Yes, ma'am. And I just want to read some of the comments uh, that people saying prior to 75 leaves a personal touch. That's Sister Marva Muhammad. Brother Marcel said, you kept the light of your faith until the uh, uh, bridge room returned. Minister Jamil says, you, the church, no, you're 100% MGT. Some people say, keep busy. Sister Deborah or Deborah says, Assalamu alaikum. There's some people showing you love. Praise be to Allah. Please continue to like, share, and subscribe to the People's Podcast, you all. My next question is,
Brother
because
Joshua, let me just address the about keeping the faith. I think the one thing that kept me is that I never lost my love for the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And I didn't lose respect for him, even though, Imam Ward, the dean, started to down the teachings and started to say certain negative things about Islam, I never lost the love for him. So I think that once I heard that the Honorable Louis Farrakhan was rebuilding the nation, then that reignited the love and the spark that I had for him. And I was able to come back based on that. I think that if I had lost the respect for him, then it would have been difficult because I did have some friends whom I was close to at the time who worked with me in the mosque, and they did not make it back because they lost the respect and love for the most honorable Elijah Muhammad.
Mm. Well, praise be to Allah that you came back and had the faith. Now you all passed the well, you all had you all's first trial. Y'all had a trial, a test. It's our turn coming up soon, inshallah. You know that we got to deal with the same thing. So we've been pre-warned for years of the Most High Louis Farrakhan's departure. What can we do as a community to pass the test?
I think basically for the believers, we have a lot of resources that is available to us. We can continue to listen, as the Honorable Elijah Muhammad told us, to continue to listen to the Honorable Louis Farrakhan. We have thousands of tapes, lectures, and of course we have the study guides, which we should really be in the process of, especially since we have time now. You know, we have this downtime, so we have time to study. I would say that having a strong foundation will be what will keep the nation from falling, and that some individuals who will not be prepared for this examination this time will be due to the lack of study and things that come up that will cause doubt. Because mainly you're not trying to prove to someone else, but you want to make sure that your foundation is firm and that you understand when the Honorable Louis Farrakhan leaves, and you're looking forward to being here upon his return.
Beautiful, man, beautiful. And Sister Minister, um, the first time we did the interview, I shared the promotion for it where you were speaking at Mas Mariam. Do you, because due to the pandemic and a lot of mosques being closed, do you miss speaking from the rostrum?
Yes, I do. And it seems, strange because I'm really kind of a very shy person. And so I wasn't used to uh, speaking. But one of the things that I did in order to prepare myself is to continuously study, but also I used theater and other things as therapy to prepare me to be able to speak in front of an audience. So yes, I miss it in a way, and then I don't miss it. But it's always a blessing and an honor to be able to bear witness to the teachings and to be a testimony for other women in the Nation of Islam.
Beautiful. Praise be to Allah. And you have a lot of comments, and we're coming right back to the comments. But before, and Sister Minister Aisha, I have a lot of questions and talking points to address today. Thank you for your patience, and thank everyone for their patience for watching. We have a quick 60-second commercial break for all of the sponsors and donors of the People's Podcast. I'm very grateful. We are very grateful for all of the sponsors. Thank you all for your donations. Please continue to cash app the People's Podcast. My brother Rashad, Street Premiere, Media Production. He has a 4K camera and a drone. He does television and film editing. Please reach out if you need any of assistance with that. My sister Miriam, ABC I Love Me, children's book and coloring book, both of which are available on Amazon. Please go get those. My sister Naima, Stay On Point Dance Academy, LLC. She teaches ballet virtually to young girls all across the country. We love our tiny dancers, and she also teaches in studio right here in Atlanta, Georgia. Thank you very much. If you need some ballet or dance, MTS Car Bros, our brothers from the West Coast. Any make, any model, any year, 30 to 50% off. They'll ship vehicles to you all anywhere in the country. Thank you very much. Sister Rashida Rafat, Raw Communications. If you're working on a book and you need copy editing, project management, content development, or media relations and consulting, please reach out to Raw Communications. Thank you very much, Sister Rashida Rafat. Our sisters out of Melville Muhammad out of Houston, Texas, Elevated Places School, where I am, what God says I am. They do a great job of raising kings and queens, young gods, right out of Houston, Texas, Elevated Places. Our sister Sherry, Asiatic Minds Online School, asiaticminds.com. They're launching this fall. Please put your children into a school of their own if you want them to go virtually. Asiatic Minds is the school that you all would like them to go to. We're coming right back to Sister Minister Aisha. Brother Kenneth, bow tie maker extraordinaire, right out of Atlanta, Georgia. He'll ship bow ties to you all across the country. Thank you very much, Brother Kenneth. WFM Law Firm, helping our clients get justice when injuries due to negligent intubation and anesthesia. The law offices of Warren Fitzgerald Muhammad. Thank you very much for your sponsorship as well. Dr. Henry M. Carter, King Henry's Turkey Legs, right here in Atlanta, Georgia. Brother Rashad Muhammad, COVID-19 disinfectant cleaning services out of Chicago, Illinois. My father's book, A Soldier in the Movement of Christ, abdulsharif.com. And last but not least, my two books, Cleopatra, which is a children's book, and No Father, No Excuse. Thank you all very much. All of which are available on Amazon. Boom. Okay. Ms. Aisha.
Yes, sir.
I have the picture, and I was waiting to interview you before I posted the picture of you reading my book. You were kind enough. You were kind enough to take a picture with it and share with me that you enjoyed it. Can you please tell us what you enjoyed about my book? Boom, just like
Yes,
that.
sir. Well, I really enjoyed the book, Brother Joshua, and I really thank you for allowing me to just say some words about it. I think that the points that you make about an involved father in the life of the children, and especially in, well, both male and female,
Yes, ma'am.
it is very important to children that the father is actively involved in their lives. And, sometimes as Muslims, we're so busy day to day. I know that I used to be at the mosque, it was almost 24/7. When I wasn't working, I would come in, change clothes and then go back to the mosque. And we never stopped and asked our children, how they felt about maybe spending time. A lot of the times I took my children with me, but when I didn't, because, maybe they had to go to school the next morning or, whatever. But I think that it's important to stop and spend some quality time with the children. But I also think that not only do we have workaholic fathers, but now we have fathers who have given themselves to the mission. And so that is something else that has to be recognized and appreciated. I've heard the Honorable Louis Farrakhan say that he was not the kind of father maybe that he could have been because of his dedication and love for our people and the time that he spent away from his children. So I'm hoping that, my children will recognize that it was a sacrifice, but it was a needed sacrifice at that time.
Beautiful. Praise be to Allah. Well, I know one, I don't know your other children, but I know one child that has always been supportive of you, Brother Ali, and thank him for his support as well. Speaking of that, we have a few more questions that I want to come back to, some major points that we want to address. But being a grandmother, how has that, impacted you? How do you enjoy being a grandmother?
Oh, brother, I think it's grand. I love being a grandmother. I love spending time with, my grandchildren. These children today are so technologically savvy and they know so much more, than we did when we were their age. But I love spending time with them and teaching them and just listening to their response. My grandchildren, one thing that I notice about them is that they like to play as children do. But when it comes time to discuss the teachings and Islam, then their whole demeanor changed,
Mm-hmm.
and they are very attentive and very open to what it is that I have to share with them. So yeah, these are enjoyable years.
Beautiful. Praise be to Allah. Well, we spoke, and you told me that always ask the believers about their sacrifices and the fear or death threats or things that they've had to gone through. And you shared with me that your house was shot at. Could you share with us what that was like?
Oh wow. Well, I had a routine that I would do every morning. And because I wanted to get some prayer and study time in before I went to work. So usually I would rise around 3 or 4 a.m. in the morning, and I would spend that time studying at a certain place in my family room where I had a desk and a lamp. And the way that our family room the way that it was situated, the door had like a little picture window that you could actually see through. And I never thought about it. I would get up early in the morning. This is something that I had been doing for years. And I would get up and sit in the same place. Well, this particular morning, for some reason, uh, I just had the idea that I didn't need to sit there that morning, that I should sit in the living room in one of our big, comfortable chairs. And that's what I did. And I heard a noise, but I didn't really pay too much attention to it. When my husband got up uh, and he went into the family room, there was a bullet in the wall right where I would have been sitting. My head would have been right there where the bullet was stuck in the wall. And our neighbor called us, the neighbor from across the street, and she said that someone was standing in our carport, had been standing in our carport, and they didn't know what they were doing. And I guess because it was still dark, the sun hadn't come up yet. But whoever it was, we called. I don't know if we called the police or we called the FOI after, but we never found out who it was. But one thing that kept me, and I think probably the reason why I was not terrified, is because of the thought that came to me not to sit in that particular seat that day. And I really feel like Allah was watching over me and that He gave me the thought. So it kept me calm. In fact, I mean, we went on with our routine. I went to work and, went to the mosque and did whatever it was that we had to do. Um, and I don't remember, I know the children were aware of it, but I don't remember them being especially, terrified about it. So that was just a kind of a real uneasy moment, but the reassurance that Allah will communicate to you and let you know when you're in danger, to me was a high point of faith for me.
Praise be to Allah. Beautiful. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And I'm so happy that Allah gave you that thought so that, man, I could have went a whole nother way. Praise be to
Yes,
Allah.
sir.
Yes, ma'am. Well, speaking of Allah giving you thoughts, we spoke about I've been doing a lot of interviews with believers about the will and the mother plane and this Sunday's lecture entitled The Mother Plane. How, because you're in orientation, I'm sure that's a question that you have to engage in. What do you say to people when they ask you about the baby planes or the will?
Oh, sir, I tell them that that is Allah's calling card. That is Master Fard Muhammad's calling card.
Yes, ma'am.
I let them know, and I also give them references where they can go and read about the plane themselves. But I share with them some of the history. Dr. Wesley Muhammad has something on YouTube in regard to the making of the mother plane,
Mm.
where it was made, how much gold, what it cost to make it. So we deal with it. I certainly know that it is a reality, and so I deal with the processing class as it is a reality.
Allahu Akbar. Beautiful. Yes, ma'am. And earlier you spoke of Mother Tynetta's when you saw her when you came to hear the Muslim Minister Farrakhan speak. What was your relationship like with Mother Tynetta, and what are some of the things that she taught you?
Oh, brother, I thank Allah. I was blessed to spend quite a bit of time with Mother Tynetta because she had a sister there, Sister Carlotta Nelson. May Allah be pleased with her. And so she would come to visit her sister often. And whenever she was in town, I would either have her over for dinner and we would spend some time together. I also had her, asked her to teach a class to the married sisters on a Tuesday night, and she agreed to do that. And that was a very small class that was held, at my home. One thing that I loved about Mother Tynetta is that I could always share different ideas with her, new books, any questions that I had. I felt free and comfortable, with her to be able to discuss those things with her. She didn't have the attitude that, oh, that's not Islam. So, she also did a play in Los Angeles called Music, Color, and Medicine, a presentation. And I helped her, with that. There was just so many things that she was interested in and just had a vast amount of knowledge. And I gained a lot from just observing her. She was always a very refined Muslim woman. What you saw is what you got. It wasn't, I don't think that I ever saw her, I've never seen her in a position where she was not respectful. I've never engaged in a conversation with her that was of gossip and on a cheap level. It was always one of learning and just great communication.
Beautiful. Praise be to Allah. Well, I just want to read some of the comments. Sister Kia sends the greetings. My sister Naima sends the greetings. Sister Valerie from Los Angeles says she's deeply honored to be a part of the West Coast Regional Processing Class. Instructors with Sister Minister Aisha, she offers so much knowledge and wisdom and life experience in the nation. Praise be to Allah.
So, wow.
Beautiful. And so many people just bear witness and showing you all love. Excellent. I mean, showing you love. Thank you all very much. My next question for you, ma'am, is some of the things that you spoke of, speaking of Mother Tynetta on functional high level, of you speaking with, Brother Joel about some of the things that he experienced with the Most High Elijah Muhammad as well, dealing with angels and things like that. Can you share some of those with us?
Yes, sir. Brother Minister Joel has been in the nation, a member of the nation for over 50 years.
Mm.
And he worked very closely, he worked in the home of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. So he was blessed to have quite a few private conversations with him. And he shared with us that the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that there were at least 2,500 angels in Tucson, Arizona. So I do plan to make a trip to Tucson.
Yes, ma'am.
But, there were just many things that he said. And I remember him saying once that an angel had visited the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And he shared with us, and I heard Minister Jabril say this as well, that the brother had on a short sleeve shirt and he was sitting at the dinner table, and that he was so attentive to what the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad was saying that all of the hairs on his arm faced in that direction. And so, and we talked about angels, and one of the things I know that the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad said is that angels are human. They don't have wings and they're not flying around with arrows. They are real men. but they are men who are focused on their mission. And one of the things he said is that they do not identify themselves because, we would tell, and that would put their life in danger. But he said that they do come among us to see how we practice our Islam.
Mm, beautiful. Praise be to Allah. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Okay, excellent. My next question is, since Aisha, what type of television movies do you watch for fun? Like, what do you do for fun?
Oh, wow. I like old black and white movies.
Okay, okay,
That's just one of the things, I guess. And some of the newer ones, I guess, probably my favorite movie is Jagged Edge,
okay.
which I don't know if you're familiar with that one,
I'm not.
but
I'm not.
uh, with Glenn Close.
Mm,
But other things that, and I like movies, but now that with COVID, we don't get to go out. So I also like biographies. I watch a lot of biographies
okay.
on Netflix, which I just watched some recent ones on Miles Davis.
Mm,
And I think that, it's so interesting when you listen to someone talk about their lives or actually show you the things that they went through as a child. And then you look at, how all of that, pain and hardship actually went into them being so creative and actually successful in whatever field they went into. I also like art. I like sketching.
yes, ma'am.
I find that that's very relaxing. I love music. Of course, I like old R&B, but I also like jazz. I even like country and western.
Mm,
Uh, Almost any type of music. I like some classical music. It just depends upon what type of mood I'm in.
beautiful. Praise be to Allah. Excellent. And thank everybody for continuing to watch the People's Podcast. My next question is, if you could meet God face to face and you could ask him one question, what would you ask him?
If I could meet Master Fard Muhammad
Yes,
face to
ma'am.
face,
Yes, ma'am.
one of the first questions that I would ask, because we were told by the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad that he would not marry until his mission was complete.
Mm, mm,
So I would ask him if he had completed his mission and
mm,
if he was ready to get married.
mm,
I also, we were told that he would marry one from the MGT and GCC class.
mm.
So I would ask him about that. Uh, I would also want to know from him, because he had to search for us, how did he develop such a strong love for us, for people that he had never seen or met? So those are just a few of the questions.
Praise be to Allah. Yes, ma'am. And thank you for having some answers because sometimes I ask people and they be like, but you already had you was ready to roll with it. Okay. What do you think if he could ask you one question, what do you think that he would ask you?
Why, after so many years, am I still shy? That's probably one of the questions that he would ask. I think maybe another question or questions would be maybe around being a minister for the Honorable Louis Farrakhan, that there may be questions surrounding that responsibility.
Beautiful. Praise be to Allah. Well, I want to thank everyone who has watched. I want to thank you, Sister Minister Aisha, for coming on and having such positive energy as usual and giving us some amazing information as well as inspiration. I can't wait to put this on YouTube. Once again, please thank your son and well, all your family, but especially Brother Ali for assisting us. And we look forward to his interview as well, coming up very shortly, inshallah. Thank everyone in the comments. This is Joshua Leonard Muhammad signing off for the people.
I would like to thank you, Josh,
Oh, yes,
for
ma'am.
thinking enough of me to have me as a guest. I think that this is really going to be, and it is it's a comfort to the believers.
Mm.
I know that hearing of other believers' experiences that they've had, with the wheel and angels and all of that is very reassuring. And I think that it will help us in the dark hour. So thank you so very much.
Amen. Praise be to Allah. Well, this is Joshua Muhammad signing off for the People's Podcast. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum.